Welcome to the Real Estate Oasis podcast, where we're talking about doing real estate in Puerto Rico. This episode is about opportunity zones. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow this channel. All right, welcome back to the Real Estate Oasis podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about qualified opportunity zones. My name is Maiki Paul. I'm with Axios Real Estate and Coupled Investments.
And I'm Crager. I'm with PR Consultants.
I'm Félix Barreras, and I am with Lifeafar Capital.
I'm Zachary, Postil, and I'm with REIA.
Awesome. So last week we introduced ourselves, talked a little bit about what got us excited about moving to Puerto Rico, why we're here, all of the awesome projects that we're working on. And we wanted to dig in a little deeper into one of the primary hot topics here in investing in Puerto Rico. So Félix is our resident expert on opportunity zones. He's going to talk us through a little bit, and we're going to just ask some questions and talk about different projects and make it a just conversation. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to discuss opportunity zones, and I think that all of us are pretty excited about what opportunity zones bring to Puerto Rico, and the fact that opportunity zones is not only available to mainlanders, as we call them here in Puerto Rico. It's also available to local Puerto Ricans. So we're going to be covering...
Is that what you call them, mainlanders?
Mainlanders, yeah. We call them mainlanders here in Puerto Rico.
That's the best I've heard.
Yeah, mainlanders. So, it's available to everyone here in Puerto Rico. So if you have your capital gains and you're looking to invest in real estate or opportunity zones, Puerto Rico is, I think, the best spot in the United States to invest in opportunity zones. And I think we'll be covering a little bit more about why that is.
I think by the end of this, people will agree with you. There's no question. I believe, I say a lot only in Puerto Rico, but 98% of the island, and we'll get into it. But the thing that I love about the opportunity zone play here is that you can have an oceanfront piece of property with a branded hotel in an A-plus market, and it's an opportunity zone. So it's unlike anywhere else in the country where we're not relegated to changing industrial park into some kind of assisted living facility or something like that.
Exactly.
We've got a whole island at our disposal. So very cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And just to cover what opportunity zones are in a little in a little summary, so that everyone on the show kind of understands where we stand. So opportunity zones were regulations that were passed back in 2017. If I'm not mistaken, part of
the Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Yep, the tax, correct. And what this does is pretty much for investors that are looking to reduce and defer their capital gains, they can invest in an opportunity zone. An opportunity zone is an area that's designated by the United States, to lead some sort of investment. In the case of Puerto Rico, 98% of the island is an opportunity zone, compared to other states, which is a lot less.
Right.
I think Puerto Rico is the only one that's such a large number. So in terms of complying with all the regulations that you need to follow and all the checklists, Puerto Rico is very attractive because of that. It's very easy to comply with all the rules that you have for opportunity zones. So that makes Puerto Rico special. And again, it's kind of the best of both worlds, because areas that need development are getting the investment that they need. And then investors that want to reduce and defer their capital gains, they can do it through an opportunity zone. And again, it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. And prior to 2018, 2019, Puerto Rican residents, didn't have the opportunity to defer their capital gains. So the Puerto Rican government created legislation that mimicked the federal law for Puerto Rican residents, which I think is amazing. And it has even layers of additional incentives for Puerto Rican residents looking to defer their capital gains.
Correct.
Because there isn't any 1031 allowed on the island, but I think this is a better tax vehicle.
Yep.
Do you agree?
I would agree. I would definitely agree. And just to kind of discuss a little bit, I think we should go in the different segments of opportunity zones and just discuss them a little bit more in detail. I do want to give a shout out to OC Works. They're part of a group that is only discussing opportunity zones. So a shout out to OC Works and Ashley Tyson and all the great group that they have. I think all of us are part of that group, and we're getting a lot more familiarized with opportunity zones, not only in Puerto Rico but across the United States, just because of the vehicles and lessons that they're providing. So we'll be actually discussing a little bit more in detail one of the presentations that Ashley Tyson does. It's kind of a cheat sheet of opportunity zones, and yeah, we can definitely jump right into it and just discuss some of the things that are kind of important for opportunity zones.
Great.
So, in terms of the investment requirements, if you want to start, since you're the guy, you have an opportunity zone, man.
Yeah, so we do. We're starting now with this opportunity zone. Just set up Linda and I set up our own personal QOF to invest in a QOZB, and we've got some property identified in the west of Puerto Rico, the west coast of Puerto Rico, southwest.
And those acronyms, just really quick, that's
QOF is a Qualified Opportunity Zone Fund. And so you take your capital gains money and you can invest either directly into a Qualified Opportunity Zone Fund that then invests in businesses, or if you have your own personal fund, then you can invest in multiple QOZBs. So we'll have what we're calling it Island Paradise QOZB in Cabo Rojo, Puerto Rico, and it'll have 2 or 3 different hospitality projects, all with at least magnificent ocean views, but most of it will have its own beachfront. And so we're going to renovate the Bahia Salinas Resort, which is in Cabo Rojo, Puerto Rico. It was operational the night before Hurricane Maria, and has been not operational ever since. So we acquired the property, PR Consultants did a while ago. Took it through some litigation, and now we're going to put it into this Qualified Opportunity Zone Fund. So we're looking to raise capital for that. And I think that's what you were talking about, investor requirements for it, right? So to invest in the QOZB or QOF, it must be capital gains money.
Yep.
So you have to liquidate something that gives you a capital gain.
Correct.
I can't just go to the bank and take money out and invest in one of these funds and get all of the benefits.
Exactly.
So I think maybe there's a way you can invest alongside, but we'll have to defer to Ashley Tyson for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So what I am sure is that if you have a capital gain, you really want to look into these opportunity zone funds, because they take really good opportunities or really good real estate investments and kick them over the edge, just kind of juice the returns.
Yeah.
We'll get into all of the different, what the benefits are.
Yeah, for sure. Something that's very, very important for those that are looking to invest into Qualified Opportunity Zone funds, you have 180 days to put your money into the Qualified Opportunity Zone fund. Yeah. And just like Robbie was mentioning, it can be long-term or short-term capital gains. But you do have a timeline of 180 days once you get those capital gains to put it into a Qualified Opportunity Zone fund. And kind of in the same spirit, Lifeafar also has a QOC fund here in Puerto Rico. The way that we're structuring is a little bit different. Everyone has their own type of structure. We're structuring as single asset funds, and kind of in the same spirit as you. We're doing hospitality projects with them. So there's different types of QOC businesses and funds that you can establish, but particularly I think that both Robbie and myself, Lifeafar Capital, is more interested in the hospitality segment in Puerto Rico, especially with all the additional incentives that you get here by developing hospitality projects.
Puerto Rico just takes all of the great investment opportunities and makes them even more fun.
Correct.
By allowing us to kind of couple things, an opportunity zone fund with an Act 74 play and massive tax returns and things like that. So we've got other conversations to have about all of that too. So.
Yeah, for sure. Something that I also don't want to let people know, there is a deadline coming up on 12/31. So 12/31 of this year is when you get the 10% step-up basis. So for whoever is looking to invest into an opportunity zone, if you get your money in before the 12/31 deadline, you will have 10% additional, so 10% reduction in the taxes that you have to pay.
Right.
So, for example, when the way that Opportunity Zone works is if you get your investment in before, let's say, by 12/31 of this year, you will have to pay your taxes still, but you will have to pay them in 12/31 of 2026. When that 12/31/2026 deadline comes, that's when you have to pay your taxes. And then if, again, you're putting your investment before 12/31 of this year, you're getting 10% reduction in the taxes that you have to pay. So if your investment is 100K, then at that point you will only have to pay 90K.
You only have to pay taxes on 90.
Yeah, you only have to pay taxes exactly on 90K.
Yep.
But there's an extra trick, right? When that time comes, where you can depreciate your property, and I think that's something that I would love to discuss a little bit more about it.
Wow, and I'm not an accountant, but cram down depreciation, I think, is what you're talking about.
Yep.
And so you basically front load the costs. You take the depreciation as rapidly as possible so that you kind of juice the returns.
Yep.
And then 5 years from now, you're paying your tax from 5 years ago, and you actually can use the revenues that you've made over those 5 years to do it. So you're effectively deferring and then coming up with the money to pay those taxes, plus making money along the way. And you get to depreciate the entire asset. And because at the end, when we sell after 10 years, we get to bring the value of the asset up to today's valuation. So basically whatever you sell it for, there will be no gain. So you're really starting to stack some amazing benefits, right?
Yep.
So you guys said earlier, like, this is better than a 1031. It's not just better. It's like so much better that, I mean, if you're thinking about doing a 1031 versus doing this, at least look at taking your cap gains, pulling them out, and then just putting them into an opportunity zone.
Just
1031, you can still do that, but it's old, right? This is cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe we can go over what a 1031 exchange
Yeah,
is.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Because me personally, I'm
Well,
not too
and they don't
sure
allow
about
1031 exchanges inside of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So for locals now who couldn't do a 1031 exchange before, they can participate with the opportunity zones.
Yeah.
But anyways, are you familiar with 1031?
Yeah, it's often used in real estate. So 1031 exchange is a way to kind of defer the gains from a property that has appreciated over time. And the exchange is exchanging like for like. So you can take the total value of the property that now has appreciated over time, and take that gain and put it into new, larger property. Take that amount, say you have like 200K value property, you can take that and purchase, instead of paying taxes on that gain, if it appreciated 100K over time, you just put it into a new property and you're not paying capital gains taxes on that like 100K increase, from what I understand.
And you have a certain period to do that in, right? That you have to do that in.
I think it's 120 days. Like, you have to complete the transaction within that certain period. Yeah.
And you can keep doing that theoretically. Right?
Yeah, you can exchange into an exchange and to an exchange, and I've seen some really sharp people do a series of 1031 exchanges, and then they end up somehow exchanging into a property that becomes their primary residence and live there for a couple of years and then sell it, and that's all of their gain pretty much goes away. So I mean, those things have been happening for years and years.
Right, because when you live in it's your primary residence, you get you don't have to pay capital gains. I think as long as you live in it for, is it 5 years?
Yes, in Florida, and I don't know if it's national, but it's 2 out of 5 years. I think then you would still get the benefit.
Yeah. That I haven't heard before. That's that's creative.
But there's some really creative people out there.
Well, I mean, it brings us like all the creative incentives and ways that you can do projects here. Layering the qualified opportunity zones and the tourism incentives like Act 74, which we're going to get into a little bit later.
Yep.
You can really kind of, you know, there's no one size fits all here. It's one size fits one, so you have to figure out what works best for you. And we'll include some links to the experts that we've been talking to for you guys to connect with and figure out what is the best way for you to maximize your business or project here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I do want to mention too, none of us are financial professionals, so obviously like do your due diligence, do your research, talk to your CPA, talk to your lawyers, and really learn, you know, really there's everyone has a specific situation when it comes to dealing with your investments. So definitely, you know, take advantage of that. Some other things that I do want to discuss about opportunity zones, and this is very important. The investment requirement for an opportunity zone has to be equity. It cannot be convertible debt or anything like that. It cannot be that sort of instrument. So it has to be equity. And you know, kind of still going over the requirements here. For a QOC business, something that makes it very attractive to deal in Puerto Rico, 70% of the tangible property owned or leased has to be in a QOC business property. Guess what? 98% of the island is an opportunity zone, so that checks very, very easily here in Puerto Rico.
That's right.
So again, that's some of the advantages that really bring you know, Puerto Rico opportunity zones to a whole different level compared to other states.
So we were talking about
Appreciation recapture.
depreciation recapture or cram down depreciation, and an added benefit to investing your cap gains money into an opportunity zone fund. So where you're deferring that, let's call it $100,000 cap gain that you invest into a QOZB or QF, and you would otherwise owe 20 or 30%, whatever your tax rate may be, right?
Uh-huh.
You get to defer that for 5 years.
Correct.
And then you're going to owe the tax on that original $100,000.
Yep.
And so there's, and again, so we are not accountants, and you must verify what we're saying. We're kind of parroting what we've heard, and we're trying to give you what we know, or what we think we know. You can take depreciation on portions of the asset that will offset then the tax. So that, let's call it $20,000 that you owed on the original 100. If you can somehow find $20,000 worth of depreciation along the way, then you'd effectively have no tax from that original 100,000.
Yep.
And then, when you sell it at the end of 10 years, you get the step up in basis, and so you just wipe it out and you get it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds too good to be true.
It does. It does sound too good to be true, but it's an opportunity.
I just love that. I love listening to Ashley Tyson talk about this stuff. And every time I do, I come away just with a little bit better knowledge. But he can explain it much better than we can. And one day we'll try and have him on the podcast and interview him and let him really dive into some of these rabbit holes. But,
yeah, he's definitely, he nerds out on opportunity zones like no one else. And he's an expert, so
he is.
He really knows his stuff, and like Robbie mentioned, we're definitely gonna try to bring him into the podcast because I think he's just a great asset of knowledge in the opportunity zone world.
Yeah. So I think a really good point is in 1031s obviously aren't allowed here. We're not doing that in Puerto Rico, and you can foreseeably, do that with, an extended period of time. There's no limitation of that. With opportunity zones, it's a minimum of 10 years that you have to be in the project, but you can do that till 2046. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah. So it's a huge, it's probably one of the greatest tax vehicles we have in terms of.
No, it's. I believe that it will be looked at as one of the best wealth building tools that we've ever had. I think it's like a Roth IRA. It's like a 1031 exchange. I think here in Puerto Rico, while it's like all of those things, it's so much better. So we just bounced off of the bottom in the real estate and had growth for the first time in a year
Yeah.
The first time in over a decade, we started to have positive GDP growth, and
Yep.
real estate is on the rise. So think about investing at the bottom of the market for between 10 and 40 years or something like that,
Yeah.
right? How much wealth that could build.
Yeah.
Just amazing what we have with Puerto Rico. The opportunities that are here are endless. And then they just want to give us these little cherries on top, right?
Yep.
We got lots of cherries.
And I gotta say, one of the best cherry that our opportunity zone has is the exit at year 10, which we didn't discuss.
Yeah.
So what happens at year 10?
Yeah.
Which is, it's amazing. So at year 10, once you sell that property, and granted, Puerto Rico gives additional incentives if it's, for example, an Act 74 tourism project.
Yeah.
But that exit at year 10 is a completely tax-free exit. Is that correct, Robbie?
That's correct. Yeah. You get a step up. They call it a step up in basis. So
Mhm.
you can cram down depreciation, get your basis to zero.
Yep.
At year 10, we cram up the basis from whatever your basis is to whatever the value is today, and effectively you have no tax.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who grew up in a family that we were very adverse to paying too much in tax. So to hear this, like I just think I'm probably making my father proud. Or at least I know I'm making my father-in-law proud, because he was really an anti-tax guy. So we want to do everything within the law, and they allow this. They're gonna let us make these investments at really the bottom of the market, ride the market up. So we buy at the bottom of the market with equity. We gain equity over a 10-year period of time, and then we hit it up to the current day value when you liquidate after 10 years, and you pay no tax.
Yep.
What can be better than that?
For sure.
Yeah, for young entrepreneurs too, I mean, and we'll get into this a little bit more, it gets to be kind of a game changer, especially when you're starting out. You know, you're trying to reinvest everything into your business, learning as you go along. You can take more risk when you have this an environment that is very kind of encouraging to like learn, make mistakes, and have a financial advantage that you wouldn't otherwise have. It makes it a lot easier to be able to take risks. And when we're talking about percentages, 8, 10%, the young entrepreneurs tax like 8 to 12%, or sorry, 100% exemption on like property and municipal tax, and we'll get into that later. And you think, on like 8 to 12% tax, it's not a big deal. But when you're just starting out, like that is that could be someone's salary, right? That you're hiring to help you in your business. It's allowing you to create more jobs and reinvest everything that you have back into your business. So I would really encourage, especially as we mentioned, the QOZs, and it's available to Puerto Rican residents as well.
That's a
And
great point.
you may be like a young investor, starting out, hearing all these things. It's great to keep in mind to say, okay, I can plan my business growth with these incentives, knowing that Puerto Rico is very encouraging this entrepreneurship amongst its residents and people, and trying to create an environment where you can take more risks as an investor. So definitely want to highlight that too.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
That's very good note. And I also want to add, additional to what we've been talking about, opportunity zones, just like you mentioned, like Young Entrepreneurs Act. And there's different ways to take a look at deals. So there's CBDGDR grants now that are being deployed in Puerto Rico. So when you just mesh everything together, you get a deal that's unlike anywhere else. And again, a lot of this is available to local Puerto Ricans. I cannot stress enough how important that is, that you as a Puerto Rican can make a contribution and invest in your island. And it'll be a really good investment. It'll be better than anywhere in the States, like Maiki was saying. So, yeah.
That's a great note to end on. I thank you, Felix, for bringing all of your expertise. I know I learned a lot, and I have a lot of research to do. Hope you have a lot of homework to do, figure out what works best for your unique situation. Again, we'll share the links to the experts that we've used to get our projects going and learn more about opportunity zones, the tax incentives, and everything. So look forward to seeing you guys at our next episode.
All right, thanks for watching.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.